friends, this is Mira and today's video is about translated Japanese books. I tried to pick these books from different genres and different time periods. I hope you'll find something here that interests you. Let's go. The first book is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by Toshikazu Kawaguchi. This is about a coffee shop in Tokyo wherein you can go back in time. But this time travel comes with many conditions. They cannot leave the cafe, they have to sit in a particular seat, and they have to return to their present before the coffee gets cold. The book is told in short stories, and the second story is my favorite. One of the characters there had an Alzheimer's disease, and it really touched my heart. What I did not enjoy about the last story is it uses the trope wherein a woman keeps her pregnancy knowing that it can kill her just because she wants a baby. This is already a very tricky subject. Every woman has a different opinion, but coming from a male author doesn't sit well with me. Overall, these are 4 thought-provoking stories in just 200 pages. If you're interested, I suggest you give this a try. The next book is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. This story is about a housekeeper who works for a former math professor who has memory problems. His memory resets after 80 minutes. But despite this, the housekeeper and her son found a way to communicate with the professor and form a beautiful relationship with him. This is my second Yoko Ogawa, the first being The Memory Police, and I can say that this author likes to play with the idea of human memory. This is one of the more tender and heartfelt Japanese literature that I have read in a long time. This also has the found family trope, which I love so much. The next book is The Sailor Who Fell from Grace with the Sea by Yukio Mishima. So, this is about a group of 13-year-old boys who reject the adult world as they see it as hypocritical, sentimental, and illusory. And they train themselves in a brutal callousness they called objectivity. When the mother of one of these boys begins an affair with the ship's officer, he and his friends idealize the man at first. But it is not long before they conclude that the man is soft and romantic. Trigger warning, there is a very detailed scene of animal killing in this book, and it also includes a dissection of a corpse. The writing here is fantastic, it is poetic, it uses great metaphor, and is full of symbolism and innuendos. This reminds me a little of Lord of the Flies by William Golding because of the Band of Boys theme. Much like Lord of the Flies, this short story also has green and darker themes viewed in the eyes of adolescent children. The next book is The Woman in the Dunes by Abe. So this is about an amateur entomologist. An entomologist is someone who studies insects. So he missed the last bus home after a day trip to the sea. The locals offered him lodging for the night in an area at the bottom of a vast sand pit. But when he tries to leave the next morning, he quickly discovers that the locals have other plans. Held captive with seemingly no chance of escape, he is tasked with shoveling back the ever-advancing sand dunes that threaten to destroy the village. His only companion is an odd young woman, and their fates become intertwined as they work side by side through the never-ending task of shoveling sand. The imagery of this book is just superb. While I'm reading, all I can think of is sand, its grittiness, and how it sticks to damp skin. And if any book makes you so absorbed into its world, you know you have a good one at hand. The plot and the circumstance of the story is unlike any other story trope. The story is very surreal and it's full of symbolism that's shown throughout this book. It shows the story of a man trapped against his will and must toil every day to continue living. There are several ways that the story can be interpreted, and I think everybody needs to give this book a try. Armed with exquisite storytelling and powerful imagery, this book will dare your mind to think about what is the essence of living and if we can say that we are living our life to the fullest. So, that's The Woman in the Dunes by Abe. The next book is Confessions by Kanae and Minato. The story starts with the teacher talking to her class at the end of the semester. She announces that she is retiring from teaching following the death of her child a few months ago. Before leaving, she discloses that she knows the death of her daughter is not an accident. and that the two people responsible for her death are sitting there in the classroom. She's not pursuing a case with the authorities, but leaves the two killers with a final act of revenge. My only con for this is the story is narrated from different POVs. We have the teacher, the two killers, the class president, and the sister of one of the killers. And they all retell their point of views of the killing, and it gets less interesting, recapping the same part repeatedly. Plot-wise, this is just genius. The story itself felt simple, but is convoluted with so many twists, which most of them I didn't see coming. With each narrator, you'll learn their motivations for their actions, which will make you understand or even sympathize with them. But then, when you jump to another narrator, all of these actions are transformed into new violent acts, and everybody feels like a lost cause. If you like a good revenge story, I highly recommend this. And have I told you that it's already 240 pages? You can finish this in one sitting. The next book is Breast and Eggs by Mieko Kawakami. This book is divided into two parts. The first part is called Breast, which is about Makiko and her daughter Midoriko. Makiko traveled to Tokyo in search of an affordable breast enhancement procedure. She is accompanied by Midoriko, who has recently grown silent, finding herself unable to voice the vague yet overwhelming pressures of growing up. The second part, titled Eggs, is about Natsu, Makiko's younger sister from the first part. 10 years have passed since the events of the first book, and we follow Natsu's struggles as she confronts the anxieties about growing old and being childless. The first part, which I favor by a small margin, is about the struggle women face to conform to societal standards, which specifically in this book is the constant need to look beautiful and sexually appealing, to do all the household responsibilities and career responsibilities, and still look alluring as we age. The second book is much more complex than the first one. Natsu wants a child, but she doesn't have a partner, and she understands that she does not derive pleasure in having sex. We now see the different meanings of sex imposed by society on women, the responsibility to give pleasure to their partner, and of course, the act of sex that gives life, and how these two things tie to each other. Nothing happens in this book action-wise. This is more of a no plot, just vibe story. But I can say that this is very validating to read as a woman. I find myself agreeing with a lot of the sentiments raised by the women in this story. If you like Kim Ji-young, born 1982 by Cho Nam-ju, I think you will love this book. They both explore the societal issues women face in different aspects of life. The last book is Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. So Tsukiko is drinking alone in her local sake bar when by chance she meets one of her high school teachers. And unable to remember his name, she falls back into her old habit of calling him Sensei. After this first encounter, Tsukiko and Sensei continues to meet. Together, they shared edamame beans, bottles of cold beer, and a trip to the mountain to eat wild mushrooms. As their friendship deepens, Tsukiko comes to realize that the solace she has found with Sensei might be something more. This is an age gap romance done right. Tsukiko and Sensei has a 30-year gap, but everything here is done tastefully and delicately. This book has more vibes than plot story. The nights they share drinking and eating at their favorite sake bar just scream coziness. I also like the slow burn and how Tsukiko was not aware of how her actions were affected by her feelings for Sensei. So this is a story about two people who are both lonely and are set in their ways, and how they spend their time sharing life. So that's Strange Weather in Tokyo. It's a cozy book and feels like a warm hug on a rainy day. And that's it for my translated fiction recommendations from Japan. I tried to vary this list, so I hope that there's something here that caught your attention. And if you're still here, thank you for staying with me until the end. I appreciate it. Have a great day wherever you are. Bye bye.